How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Scribblechat. I feel weird saying episode. Let me start that again. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another. There's no other intro. There's no other intro. Oh man, how's it going, everybody? Today's starting off pretty good. Got like I'd say an extra half hour of sleep. I notice if I get about this got to be an age thing. 8 hours is perfect. If I get a little more, even better. A little less, and it's like diminishing returns. Really start feeling her. But all in all, it was good sleep. Woke up pretty good. Jumped right into the Spider Gwen sample page. And okay, so this, and I don't mean to make this sound, like I'm tooting my own horn here, but there's this panel of how do I describe it? The vulture has crashed into a building, and Spider Gwen has basically followed in, but it's written in a way that like, I would prefer myself to add a panel, and I wonder if this is sort of I imagine this is what people talk about with mainstream comics. You don't get a lot of real estate, right? I think they're 20 to 22 pages a month. And within that, you got to tell, even in the action scenes, right? Like that's precious real estate where there's no dialogue, and so I get it. And the panel previous was, I don't know. I don't want to get into the whole thing with you. It doesn't matter. It just seems like it's very like the beats are very quick, and it almost maybe I'm just used to like working with JESOP and reading like manga and stuff, but it's it's odd. I just find that the beats like you have to get creative with this stuff, and this is really the challenge. I think even after the thumbnails, once I get into the breakdowns, there's some more detail that I'm finding that it's like okay, all right, I understand where we're coming from now. And which is to say, like the panel previous is she's following him, but she was falling, so she's following him as he goes crashing through a building. Then the next panel is when they're inside that building. She quickly dodges an attack he has as he's hitting the ground, presumably from the impact. As he cuts something in half and she dodges it. Like there's a lot that happened there that I feel like we should add a panel. And I'm drawing there and I'm getting in there and I'm doing the breakdowns and I'm like I wonder maybe I should do that, just add a panel because this just doesn't seem whatever. But I thought no, let's push through it. Let's see if I can get something without just adding panels. And I don't think adding panels is bad. It just changes the beats, right? If you ever hear people talking about beats and you're not sure what the hell they're talking about, imagine somebody like what I just said. If you added another beat, meaning like a panel of her following inside the building, like following him, it slows it down dramatically, right? But also the cost to that, for better or for worse, is maybe clearer storytelling. So go back and forth, but what I wanted to get at, what I was saying was the panel, the way it turned out, is I'm actually really excited about it. It's pretty dynamic. It's not. I find like when you get into really dynamic and confusing shots like this, almost like staging it like you're at a play. Like we're in the audience looking at it. There's like that flat shot that you'd get, but just sort of tilting the horizon. This might be a little hard to visualize as I'm saying it, but you sort of just tilt the horizon so it gives a little bit of an edge. But it allows me when I work like that to get clear. But the trick, and I think this is like the next stage of where I'll get with storytelling, like the level up aspect is taking that, but also pushing the camera a little bit, meaning bringing things extremely to the foreground and stuff like that. Just playing around with it. But the one thing I'm interested to see how it plays out is the pose that I gave Spider Gwen. Okay. And I imagine this just in my mind's eyes. I was scribbling out, trying to figure out what the hell she was doing, because I find drawing these Spider-Man characters, they're difficult, right? Like you guys know, I draw the big muscle guys, and that you just got to show really cool, like big, powerful stances and power, right? But with Spider-Man, it's lanky movement and stuff like that. It's a challenge, and it's great. It just makes you a better artist if you can get through that. So I've been trying to do that the best I can with Spider-Gwen. So the one pose I had is, imagine in your mind's eye is like, okay, so the Vulture has hit the ground on his back, but he's also kind of leaning forward and slashing with his wings. So he's cutting something in half, but Spider-Gwen's dodged it. So the pose that I chose to do is I imagined her like following in off a web line. So she's still in the air, right? She hasn't hit the ground yet, and he's slashing. So the only movement she's got is to sort of like flatten herself out. Kind of like imagine you're like just doing a jumping jack midair kind of thing, I suppose, right? But the way that I had to get the story to kind of work, or I didn't have to, but I just started scribbling in it. It looked dynamic and I enjoyed it. Was, but the price is like it's kind of like she's doing a jumping jack at us, so we kind of see her butt, like right there, like with the legs spread open towards us. Now, I'm not the kind of artist that I don't want to overly sexualize anything, and I mean I think she's even like a little teenager. Some of the reference images I found online, I don't know her age. I checked. It went from like 17 to 22, like all over the board. I don't even think people even know. So around there, and I don't like that's not what I want to be drawing in, especially a superhero comic. So I don't know. I'll save it for when I get to the line art if I'm going to make the adjustment because like as I'm saying it now, I could easily do the exact same thing, just flip it so her head's facing us, right? But I think it just looks so dynamic. But I'm concerned and I worry if I don't think editorial at Marvel or something will be like, okay, like this is very blatant. He's just putting that in there because of this. And I think the moment you start thinking about what other people are going to think, that's where you're running into the problem. And you got to stay true to the vision you had. If an issue comes up, a problem, address it then. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So that's what's going on. Yesterday was really cool. Got a lot of work done. Actually, I had a little. I called my friend, like I told you guys, Will Robson. I feel like I always have to say his last name. That way you guys will know who I'm talking about. We talked on Skype, and it was awesome. Getting up early allows me to talk to him. He lives over in the UK, so our time zones are always all messed up. But anyway, what it got Will thinking anyway, and he brought it up, and I thought it'd be a good idea, and I'll run it by you guys. If you guys have been following the channel for a while, you guys remember the what the hell was our pod? We had like a little podcast going on. Was it? It wasn't. Was it Scribblechat? Did we call it that, or was it Sketchbook? I think it was a Sketchbook pod. Something I forget. It's been a while. He said it yesterday, and I remembered it. And I don't remember. Anyway, long story short is what we might do is start those up again. The concern I have is I don't necessarily want to do that every day. I've started just doing this. This is about a week. Yeah, I think this is episode 7 now, so that makes it a week of doing this, which is really cool. I want to keep this up for sure because it's bite sized. Just it's sort of like a little journal. I can get it out there, talk to you guys a little bit. But for the thing with Will, maybe once a week I think would be really cool. I know he was saying that I think he would want a little bit more, getting a little lonely drawing comics all the time, and I can respect that. But we'll see how it goes. But those podcasts anyway, they were visual. They had our screen recording going on, so you guys could see what we were working on. So since he's working on published work, he said some of it can be streamed because people won't really know. Spider-Gwen stuff, I even said I was considering posting the Spider-Gwen stuff. I'm not even sure if I should do that anymore. I don't want to ruffle feathers. I want to come out with like a humble approach, as well as like I don't want to start stepping on rocks. Not that I think I have that kind of influence or anything like that. I just want to come in clean. So I was thinking of moving in. Don't take this as me trying to push my sales on anybody, but for Patreon, I think I'll share the pages there because that's a little bit more closed. I think it's a little bit more appropriate. It's behind the paywall, and it's not. Anyway, I hope you know what I'm saying there. And the reason I'm hesitant, I'm stuttering around it, is because I just saying that started hitting like triggers in my body, going like, Please don't try to make it sound like you're enticing people to, hey guys, come on down and check out John's Patreon. Yeah, I don't want to be the snake oil salesman here, so I'll get off of that. But we'll look into the Will and I thing, doing something. Like I said, during the week would be, like once or twice, maybe even on a weekend or something like that. I think it'd be pretty cool. Get like for an hour or two or something like that. But it might just be audio. So you guys let me know. I understand wanting to see people draw for sure. Maybe I can start doing it myself once JESOP King starts back up. Once we get into the pages of that, and I'm not doing this sort of like published kind of thing and all that stuff. Like if it was just people I mean, it's not going to be published what I'm working on, so there's that. But at the same time, I don't know. You know what I'm saying, I hope. I'm just getting off the topic here. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. So the last thing I wanted to... Oh, sorry. So today, yes, this morning, I'm still working on the breakdowns. I'm on page 3. The next 2 pages are, I believe they're pretty simple. It's just character work. I should be able to get the breakdowns down today. 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I'm going to be cranking the tunes. I got my coffee, and I'm going to do the best I can. Ideally, if I can get the breakdowns done today, that's awesome. That sets me up for doing line art for the rest of the week, that'd be killer, you know. And even doing what's it called, the JESOP King. The cover for that is going to be great too. So the last little bit here, then I'll get the hell out. We're around the 10-minute mark. It's at the sweet spot. You guys know, it's been a little while since I've talked about him on here. Freddie Williams, the author of the DC Comics Guide to Digitally Drawing Comics. Ever since finding his book, it's been a godsend. It's really helped me feel comfortable working in a digital medium many years ago. Now, I was watching a video of his. Oh my God, this would have been maybe 3 years ago, something like that. I believe it was around 3 years ago. It was like somebody did an interview of him in his little studio and stuff like that, and it looks like an older one. And he had this note posted up on his desk, and I just swiped I just swiped it. I rewrote it and I have it taped onto my computer, and getting back into like actual drawing and stuff like that. I'd seen it all the time, but now that I'm kind of getting back into it, I'm looking at it and I was like, this is funny. So I'll read it to you guys. It's just a nice little, like, I imagine he has it there just as like a little thing to always look at. You can remember it, and just kind of keep you going. And so you're not, because I'll say this, and some of you might be able to mirror this feeling too. Sometimes drawing, you can get stuck in your own head, and if you always hear it mostly, I would say you always hear mostly from people that are doing art full time, where it's like, especially if you're working by yourself. You could be by yourself, like maybe you don't have a significant other, or maybe you got no family or friends or anything, or you got deadlines, and you're just like swimming in it for like days and weeks and God forbid months, right? And like your human contact is like the grocery store, or maybe if you go on a walk, it's not deep in any way at all. It's just courtesy kind of thing, right? And you can sort of just get stuck in your own head, and it can mess with you for a bit. So anyway. It sounds like I'm building up what he wrote here as if it's like, scripture or something. But so he talks about roughs and wireframes, just so you guys know what the hell that is. I'll just quickly talk about that. So roughs would be, in the process we use, you do your thumbnails. Everybody's familiar with that. And then from there, that's where it gets deviated. Some people, they go into pencils, right? What we call it would be breakdowns and roughs, meaning you take those thumbnails, you blow them up to the size they need to be, and then you start scribbling again with like a no pressure sensitive brush. So it's just like almost like a Sharpie, and you just start building shapes that way, and you get to a point where you could do tight line art over top of it. So it's the pencil stage, but a little different, but similar in the same ways. You just don't go to a finished rendered kind of pencil look at all. You save that mostly for, and your line art almost looks like your tight pencils in a lot of ways. So it seems a little weird. If you guys need clarification, whatever, watch some other videos or just ask, and I'll tell you. So I just wanted to say that, put it in context of what he had here. And it's just a small little note. So it says, remember, when doing roughs and wireframes, you always get depressed, tired, distracted, and bored. Don't let it get the best of you. Just a simple little note. I don't even know if he wrote it. Or maybe his wife wrote it, tired of hearing him complain all the time about drawing comics all the time, right? And like I say, I was just looking at him like, man, it's so funny. It's so true. This is the thing for me, I'll find, and then I'll get out of your guys' ear for the day. When we're doing thumbnails for comics, I need like pretty much silence, or like music without lyrics that's not too epic. That's just sort of like coffee, or I don't know, like just like sometimes, you know what, guys, listen to Spotify. They've got like this genre moods and stuff. They've got like somewhere it's like coffee house sounds or something, and it's not music, but it's like somebody took like one of those audio recording devices. I don't know what they're called. The ones that I don't know if it's binaural or something, but you basically bring it into an area and you just record it. So it's like people having conversations in the background that you just can't make out what they're saying. Dishes clanging together, maybe a door opening, like that kind of stuff, as if you're in a coffee shop. And I listen to that sort of stuff because it's like white noise. It just filters it out, but it distracts me in a way from noises from the house. Like you hear a cat meow and break something. It's like I gotta go, I gotta go check that, right? But if you're in the headspace of that, you can do that. But the thumbnails is when it's the devoted. I gotta not just get this done, but I have to do the best I can to get clear storytelling and all that stuff, right? The rest of the process, I mean, literally the rest of the process, the breakdowns, roughs, a little bit of brain power, but a lot of the heavy lifting's already been done. The line art, the inking, the coloring, if I go that far, right? Like that stuff's autopilot. Just turn it off and go. And I could have a conversation while doing that stuff. It's not that it's the easiest step. It's just I find that for most people anyway, and you might not be there, but you'll get there. For most people, doing that stuff is like the putting in practice all the training you've already been doing, right? Like if you grab an anatomy book and you're studying arms today, you draw the shoulder and you get the arms and stuff. Like it generally has a look, and you start to memorize in your head without even like really realizing it, like in muscle memory, literally, of like this is the process you go to draw an arm, right? And that kind of stuff starts coming out. Sometimes there's challenge, for sure. I'm not going to say it's just a total walk in the park, but it's nowhere near the dedication it takes to do the thumbnails. So when I saw this note that he was reading, or that he wrote and he has on his desk, I just stuck to it because it's true to me. Like you could do 20 pages a month or whatever, or like I like to do batches of 5 pages or so. And you're in there, and you're just doing 5 pages of breakdowns, 5 pages of roughs, and of wireframes. Sorry. And as you're getting in there, all it is work, putting in hours to get it done as soon as you can get it, as best as you can get it looking, right? And you're just doing it. It's like that's where the machine kicks in. I don't necessarily find that's where the artistry comes out for me, and that's the distraction point. I know when I get to inks, it gets a little bit more fun because then I can kind of like get a little bit more sloppy with it, and I can start to play with blacks and pulling whites and details and maybe some rendering or whatever the hell, right? That's where I can sort of get, okay, cool, this is looking like now it's a finished thing. Because in the workflow that I do, that's from that book, the breakdowns of the line art, like it's not the most attractive. It's just function. Once we get to the inking part, that's when I can go, okay, now it almost looks like finished, right? Everything else is in process. And in process stuff, I think a lot of us, we try to skip right to the end. And it's critical. You need to do that stuff. And that's why I love this note, because it's saying the exact same thing. It's all work focused. You got to sit down, shut up, man up, woman up, whatever you are, artist up, and you just got to put in the hours, get that done, and then you move on. And it's just part of the process. So I just wanted to share that with you guys because, it's there. I see it every day, and I thought I would just talk about it because I thought it was kind of funny. But anyway, that's it for me. I will talk. Wow, did I ever spike the audio on that one? Sorry about your ears on that. But that's enough for me. I will talk to you guys later. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Maybe we'll get a stream on the weekend. I think weekends will be the best, since I'm getting up early nowadays. Like when I get home from work, I get like 3 hours tops, maybe 2.5 to 3 hours before I have to get ready to go back to bed and start this over again. So throughout the week, it's pretty rough. I can't imagine it happening very often, but we'll see. And again, just follow me anywhere on the social stuff where you guys are at, and I'll keep posting little snapshots of what I'm working on, all that cool stuff. And thank you again for everybody leaving comments and starting some discussion, doing the best I can to reply to you guys. And cool, whatever you're working on today, kick its ass, all that good stuff. I will see you guys tomorrow, and yeah, I'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.